Parasha's Vayishlach, Tafshin Pei base. We're going to try to focus on the very hard, very difficult Maaseh to understand. It's the Maaseh of Dina. You know, she has a tragedy, and it's a tremendous tragedy, and try to explain it and explain the psukim, it seems difficult. I forgot how to share a document, share a screen. I don't know how to share a document. So anyway, the pasuk says, just the pasuk before, we're going to take a very simple thing. We're going to try to understand one pasuk tonight. Vayavo Yaakov Shalem. Yaakov came and he was Shalem complete. Ir Shechem. No, he didn't come to Shechem. He came to Ir Shechem. Vayetze Yaakov mi Beershava. It doesn't say Ir Beershava. Vayelech Harana. It didn't say Ir Haran. Right before it says Vayelech Sukoisa. He could have said Vayelech Shechema, like by Yosef when he looks for his brother. Ir Shechem. Asher be'eretz Canaan. All right. I'm having a lesson of geography here. It's in Eretz Canaan. Like we didn't know where Shechem is. We know it from Avraham Avinu. Vayavo Avram ba'aretz ad mekam Shechem. We know that Shechem is in Eretz Canaan. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was showing him the land. Bevoyoi mipadan Aram. Or where else? Did he stop in the middle somewhere? He was just coming from Lavan. Pasuk likes to give us some details here, but I'm not going into this pasuk. I'm going into the Vayichan Espenei Ha'ir. He camped. Really, the meaning, some explain on this that he camped in front of the city. So he should have said Al Penei Ha'ir, not Es Penei Ha'ir. Whatever. I'm jumping a pasuk. Two psukim. I'm going to tell you. Vayiken eskel kasasade. Then he went and from Shechem, and he bought the land where he camped. Like Yaakov Avinu is going to camp beforehand on the land. Avraham Avinu didn't want his shepherds to let the flocks pasture in other people's flock, in other people's fields. But Yaakov Avinu, which was the Bechira Avos, the more complete of all the Avos Akdoshim, now he will camp on someone else's field before he even buys it. Then he made a Mizbeach HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Vayikroloi. This is the biggest thing, the Gemara, the Midrash, Omar Shlakish. So it says in the pasuk, Vayatzev Sham Mizbeach. He erected there a Mizbeach. If I open this document like this, you can see the psukim because I prepared them, but I don't know. I don't see any more Zoom. I lost you guys. Share document. Okay, too bad. Vayikroloi HaKadosh Baruch Hu called Yaakov Avinu Kel. You became so big that now you have your God. And the Zohar says, you're God on top, and I'm a God at the bottom, down below. Wow. This is the level Yaakov reached. You would think a tzaddik like this, nothing would happen to him. Nothing bad would happen to him. He says, Lo yun la tzaddik ra. The bad cannot access a tzaddik. Because all the bad is the Sitra Achra, it's the other side, and they're scared of the Kedusha of the Tzaddik. So how is it possible? The next pasuk start, Vateitzei Dina Basleya. The worst thing that could happen to Yaakov Avinu, which has such a level of Kedusha, that his daughter is treated that way. So Vateitzei Dina Basleya. In case you don't remember that the mother of Leah, or the mother of Dina was Leah, the pasuk tells you, Dina bas Leah. Asher Yolda Yaakov. Because Leah was married to someone else. Okay, the pasuk extra words again. Leroy's bivnoi saaretz. The pasuk gives a reason why did she go out to see the girls of the land. What happened? Vayar oisa Shchem ben Chamor. Shchem saw her. Hachivi, because he's a chivit. Nesi haaretz. He is the prince of the land. Vayikach oisa, vayishka oisa, vayane. So vayaneha is fine, but vayikach oisa, one time I can understand. Vayishkav oisa, to repeat oisa, this I don't know. You should have said vayishkaveha, vayishkav ois, vayikacheha. I didn't need the oisa repeated so many times. I mean, obviously, this triggers a very big question. I want to undertake a mitzvah. I want to do something. When do I know I go overboard? When do I know Hashem doesn't really want this to happen? And like Dina, you think Dina was not a tzaddikus? Dina was a tremendous tzaddikus. She just went out like this to see what kind of dresses do you think the girls were wearing in that place? Or obviously there was a deeper meaning to that. But the bigger question for us is, when do I know I'm making enough ishtadlus? When do I know that overdoing is not going to come like Dina chas v'sham and boom, with a boomerang effect and slap me right in the face? The Midrash says, when Omar Rabbi Yeshua ben Diskin b'shem Rabbi Levi Omar, I'm sure the Sichnin says in the name of Levi, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu looked at Adam and says, where am I going to create the woman from? So he says, if I create her from, I'll give you just a quick brief about it, because I'm not going to we're not going to go into details in every midrash, otherwise we'll never finish this year. If I'm going to give it from the head, so she's going to have a high head. If I do it with her eyes, she's going to try to see, she's going to be very curious and try to see everything. If from the ears, she's going to want to hear everything. If from the hand, she's going to want to touch everything. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided, I'm going to create her from a place which is Tsanua. From where? The Tzela, from the bone, a place that's covered, so the woman also remains covered. And he says, the Midrash ends up saying something tremendous. That despite the fact that they were created with the Tzela, they still were, you can still see that women have this attitude about being curious, listening, like Sarah Imenu was listening behind the Ohel, Pesach Ohel, it says. From the heart, Rachel had Kina on her sister. From Yadayim, she stole the one second. And not from the legs. Look at this, Dina went out. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu tried to create a woman and give her a power. And we spoke about the koyach of a woman, that she's a Torah of the tzaddik and so forth. But here, this midrash is tremendous. It's telling me basically it takes the sins of everyone and he piles them up. You think if we do that to men, it wouldn't happen? If I take the sin of every person and you tell me this is a man, that's wrong. This is a woman, that's wrong. Because every person has strengths and weaknesses. So if a person has a certain weakness, it doesn't mean the other one has a weakness there. If you put two people, one in front of another, and I'm saying, this is my right, so it has to be your right, you. No. If you're in front of him, your right is in front of his left, and your left is in front of his right. Just to show you, to give you an image, illustrate that people sometimes, that's why we can never project or try to judge someone. There's in the pasuk when that Hillel Azaken, the Rama Mipano say Hillel Azaken was a Gilgul of Avraham Avinu. Where do we see that? It says it's in the pasuk when Avram complained to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that you didn't give me any progenitor, you didn't give me children. It says in the pasuk, "Vayomer Avram hen li lo nosata zera." Very strange language. So automatically, meaning the pasuk is telling you something there. The first letters, hen li loi, Hillel. What did Hillel say? One of his biggest teaching. Al tadin eskavecha shetagia limkoimot. Do not judge your fellow until you arrive in his place. The Sfas Emes said, since you're never going to reach his place, you can never judge. So, how is that midrash that we just mentioned so judgmental about a woman? He kind of buried her. And we saw that a woman is 3 times emuna and so forth. No need to go back on this. Interesting. The Rishis Chochmah goes a different route to explain the inyan of Dina and what happened. It says a woman should not go out of her house unless it's really required. There's a big need, but not stop. You know the Gemara in Tainis with Rabbi Yosef. You had a beautiful daughter. There was a Meshigana that was looking through the fence, just looking at her. So Rabbi Yosef says, so what are you looking at? He says, I'm looking at her. At least if I cannot touch her, at least I can enjoy her by just looking at her. What did he tell to his daughter? If you're going to be machshir people, return to your dust. She died. The Rishis Chochmah was a very sharp, very big kanal. Says a woman should not go out. There's a lot of brachas on the woman that not go out. I'm just going to mention just a few things, kilachariyad, that a woman that refrains from going out, she's mechaperes. She becomes like a mizbeach. The bias becomes a mizbeach. It's mechaper the avoidance of the house. And I think the second one, he bring it into his lotion. And he says the danger of her falling in the trap of the Yetzer Hara, looking at people that she might want, just looking, having thoughts, and chas v'shalom going to action, or the opposite, that people will look at her and desire her, you know. And he brings a proof from a midrash. At the beginning in Parshas Bereshis, he said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told, Milu es haaretz v'chibshuha, that you have to fill earth. And from there we learn a person is the one kovish, conquering his wife, but not the opposite. Why? He says, because a wife, the Midrash says a woman cannot go out, has to be in the house. And he brings the Maisa in Yuma, Mem Zayin, the Gemara in Yuma says that Kimchis had 7 boys, and she deserved to have the 7 boys served as Kohen Gadol in her lifetime. Because one got tumor, he was talking to a goy, one time to a Roman, one time the Gemara says he was an Arab, and they touched him, and he was Erev Yom Kippur, so he was Tamei. and he could not serve on Yom Kippur, so his brother took over. So things happened as she saw. So Chazal want to ask her, what did you do to have to deserve such a big reward, to see all your 7 boys serve as Koyanim G'dolim? And she said, I never showed my hair to the walls of my house. She has tremendous genius. And it says in the somewhere says, it's Tehillim. David Amer, Kol kevoida bas melech penimo mimishbetzois zahav lebusha. She will be dressed with gold cloth. And what was he wearing? The shibatsta, the same lotion it says about the lotion, the begadim of the kohen. So he wants to stress the midrash that a woman should not be too much, going out, and only in the Rish Chochmah says totally improper. Because if she goes out like Dina and doesn't stay home, she's not even worthy to get married to a Jew. She deserves a goy. Whoa. What has she done? Is there any Isser here? At least you would talk to me about Issurim, I would understand. That she has transgressed something, the Raisa, to be addressed that way. But here we're talking about a Jewish woman that just goes out. She has not done any Isser, something may come, but it has not come. So what do you say that she's not even deserving a Yid? She deserves a goy. That's extreme. And you, the Rishis Chochmah, you bring me a raya from Kimchis? Kimchis, we're talking about Erva. She didn't want to show her hair. Here we're talking about going out. And now you're telling me, Bas Leah, you want to touch it, that she is the daughter, the same way the mother was going out, because when she went to bring the flowers, the dudaim that Reuben brought from the field to Yaakov Avinu, the daughter is exactly the same way. One second. She went, Leah, to the tzaddik. Dina, the pashtus, she went to the market to see the girls. Don't you think there's a difference? How can you blame the mother and just put everyone? This midrashim seems to put everyone in the same box and basically giving me a simple answer. Oh, but they say, Dina, you know what happened? This whole tragedy, what it happened? But she was like a mother. She was going out. No, Leah never went out. Leah went out to see Yaakov when he was coming back from the fields. So it's just outside her house. There's a difference between going outside her house on her porch to going to the market. Really not understandable, this whole thing. There's another explanation, another midrash. This time it's on this Parasha. When Yaakov, when it was about time that when Esau was approaching, so he splitted his family into 2 camps, and so we mentioned everyone, the Leah and her children, Rachel and her children, but we don't mention Dina. Where was Dina? The Midrash says he put her in a box because he was scared that Esau would lay his eyes on her and would want to take her. They say that's the punishment. You don't want to let someone that had bris milah marry your daughter, because your daughter could have turned him into a better man or changed him. Exactly the same kind of that last week the Midrash had on Leah. Leah didn't want to marry Esau, but she could have changed him to the best. And now you want a daughter. So every father that has a daughter to marry comes to Russia. You want to tell me now he has to give his daughter away to a Russia. Because otherwise he's going to be punished. You're going to tell me, oh, you don't want someone with bris milah, you're going to have a goy. And that's the reason. Let me summarize something very simple. I'll put you everything into perspective. Who made a mistake here? Is it Dina? Is it Yaakov? Choose. Or maybe it's both. But the Midrash, since I've been telling you only Midrash Rabbah and one Midrash Tanchuma. So you have to have a path here. If you're blaming Yaakov because some Midrashim say he didn't pay the neder, he promised something before he left to Haran, and he came back. That's one thing. If you're telling me Dina, okay, that's another thing. But they say Dina because she came out. But in truth, in life, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu punishes someone, he's looking all around him. Is there someone that that does not deserve the pain that will be generated by seeing that very person punished? In other words, the Riyah Kodesh tells us that when Kadosh Baruch Hu takes someone, it's because everyone around, nobody was deserving of not suffering. Tremendous. In other words, there could be such a thing as a combination. Because Yaakov, if he was Shalom, let's say Dina made a mistake, but he was deserving of not suffering. I want to know, me in my life, I do something, I decide something, I want to know that it's the right decision. But now you put everything in shambles. Oh, I can't give my daughter. I have to think about if I say yes, no, she likes, doesn't like. It's Esau, has to marry. It's her uncle. I don't know how old he is. He's a grubber person. He's a killer, murderer. You have a time on Yaakov Avinu, he didn't give his daughter to this guy? Please, even Goyim were running away from him. The Midrashim and the Zohar that they were disgusted of him. Yitzchak Avinu and Rivka were not coming out of the ohel of the tents because people were saying these are the father of that animal, that the beast, that blood spitter. So to this you have a time on Yaakov Avinu, you say, oh, by the way, that's the reason you suffered with your daughter. That's tough. Well, it's more than tough, it's not understandable. Let's go into the psukim. Let's see if we can make sense. Maybe there's a remez. These psukim are talking to us in Remazim, and there is something here that's going to make us understand not only the pasuk, but everything that was said in this midrash. Because everything seems to be talking at such a high level, everything into the same package that it doesn't make sense. Something is hidden. We take Leah. Leah, Lamed Aleph Hey, equals what? 36. 36 is, I could rewrite it in a different way, is Levad. Lamed Bes Dalet. Lamed 30, Base 2, Dalet 4. 36. You stay alone. When you say En Oed Mi Levad Doi, always the word levad will always come around on something important. Vayishlach Yaakov levadoi, alone. But it's never, you see, this is the wrong translation. You should have said levad. What it means levadoi, every time we add a vav in a word, the same way as you have 7 days in the week, 7 equals 6 plus 1, the 6 working days and the Shabbos. If I have time, I'll tell you something on Shabbos. You're gonna jump from this parasha in this psukim here. Yeah, Shabbos is here. And what I've learned from it, it's like mind-boggling. So the Vav always represents HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Kutcha Berich. Shabbos is the Shechina. When you take the 6 days plus Shabbos, you have a Yichud, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the Shechina. That's why you have to raise the 6 days in order to deserve the Shabbos. People have a Shabbos to the level of their behavior during the 6 days. You can't expect that on Shabbos you're going to come and all of a sudden grow wings and become a holy person. It doesn't happen that way. It happens on Sunday, how you work on yourself on Sunday, on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, and on Friday. Then you will have a Shabbos to this level. So interestingly, we know that a full height, koima shlema, a full height according to Kabbalah is 10. So you cannot have more than 10 floors. And your 10 have 10 linearly like this, but never 100 from the top to bottom. It's only 10. There's only 10 levels. So we're going to figure out exactly what is a 10. If you go 10 times Levado is 42, 10 times 42 is 420. 420 equals exactly Yaakov Rachel. This zivug was Mina Shamayim with all HaKadosh Baruch Hu intents. We know the holiness of both of them. We don't need to go down here. But interestingly, we take off the Vav and we multiply it by 10. 36 times 10, 360. 360 Shechem. So Shechem has almost a potential, but it's missing HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, so what do I care about this place? I care because it says by Avram, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu took him around and showed him Eretz Yisrael, it mentions the important places. Vayavar Avram Ba'aretz. So Avram traveled and basically toured the land of Eretz Yisrael. You don't mention the Beis Hamikdash, not Yerushalayim, not Hebron, no. Ad Mekam Shechem. Shechem is all of a sudden become. You don't call it Shechem. You call it Mekam Shechem. You could have said Ad Shechem. What is Mekam Shechem? The same way when Yaakov arrived in Har Moriah, where he dreamt about, with the ladder, the Sulam, it says, every time when you have to go to the Beis Hamikdash, it says, Makam, to the place HaKadosh Baruch Hu will choose. What is Makam? Makam is a name of Hashem. If you take Yud Ke Vav Ke, Yud Hey Vav Hey, and you put in front of it Yud Hey Vav Hey, and you multiply them. So Yud time Yud 100, Hey time Hey 25, Vav time Vav 36, Hey time Hey 25 equals 186, the total. 186 is Makam. So once you multiply the name of Hashem, automatically it tells you, so you have the name of Hashem, which has a level of Kedusha. Once we multiply it within itself, this shows you that it's extremely hot here. That's Makam. Makam means there's a tremendous presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu here. The Kedusha is tremendous. Oh, Mekayim Shechem? What is there in Shechem? Shechem is, we said, is Levad. It's 10 times Levad. It's missing the Vav. There's no HaKadosh Baruch Hu there. So what is there in Shechem that I have to be, aware of the importance? Okay, we'll see. We'll take Vateitze Dina. Let's figure out what's in this pasuk. Only on that pasuk I want to do it. Vateitze Dina equals 566. 566 equals Vesimcha. Wow, good things. How can equal good things? Everybody's been telling me very bad thing about it. All the midrashim, everything we have seen so far, the Gemaras, nothing was good about Dina going out. So how can you tell me Vateitze Dina? Use a different language, so I don't fall on these numbers. So it must be that her kavana was not just to go out and look at the dresses of the girls or whatever, try to befriend some girls and find some friends like we have today. A kid has to have friends, otherwise he's not good. So that's what Dina went to do. No. Vateitze Dina, I said it's 566, equals also Mashiach ben Yosef. Wow. So now you retrace it. Who's the mother of the Mashiach ben Yosef? Dina. Dina is going to have Osnas. Osnas is going to marry Yosef. Yosef is the father of the Mashiach ben Yosef. The mother is the daughter of Dina. Dina is the mother of the Mashiach ben Yosef. She knew Mashiach ben Yosef, that when Adam Arishon sinned, he lost the two Mashiachim. One we know he went to the daughters of Lot, for Mashiach ben David. Mashiach ben Yosef is in Shechem. And she's like her mother now. All of a sudden, we see the similarity with Leah. Leah went to the tzaddik to have Issachar, because she knew that was a time for Issachar to be born, and she wanted it. Dina is after the Mashiach ben Yosef. And now, it's gonna come non-stop, Mashiach ben Yosef. Just to show that it's not an occurrence, just fun, a lucky time, a lucky heat. No, it's gonna come up non-stop. So we call her Bas Leah. And we said Bas Leah could be Bas Yaakov. Actually, the Midrash Tanchum asked this question. Bas Leah velo Bas Yaakov. I would have asked the question differently. The next pasuk, she's called Bas Yaakov. So, what? Bas Leah, Bas Yaakov, you're going to play me games? I don't need those words. So, obviously, if you're giving me extra words, you're going to teach me something. So, what are you teaching me? And again, I'm stressing the importance of this just because of the midrashim around. And you can, if you learn them on a high level, you can get messed up about knowing what my decision making, my shtadlus, especially the shtadlus of a person, I think he's gonna hit it on the mark. Bas Leah equals 438. Who equals 438? Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, Zilpah. Dina is, the pasuk tells me, you want to prove that she's going with the right kavana? She's exactly like the imahs. That's why I added those few words to tell you that she's exactly like the imahs. We asked before, Sheyolda leYaakov. We knew that Leah was married to Yaakov. So to who else you gave birth to? 7 Asher Yolda LeYaakov, those extra words equal 762. Mashiach ben Yosef plus David times David in foot in square. Interesting. Mashiach ben David, the truth is, it's like Shabbos. This world is exactly on the opposite end of the other world. So on the other world, the Malchus kingship is at the lowest. Any other midah is on top. Yosef is on top of David. In this world, David is on top of Yosef. Because there's nothing higher than a melech. In the upper world, no, the melech is really at the bottom. You have all the spheres, and the last one is Malchus. So in the week here, Shabbos is the highest level. In the other world, it's just the opposite. So, but Shabbos is different. I don't want to tell you exactly. It's like Malchus. So where was she? She was trying to prepare. She knew that something extremely important was here. Who was there? So we know from Mekoim Shechem now that Malcolm HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there. If Mashiach ben, where was Yosef buried? In Shechem. Why in Shechem? Because Yosef was Yosef HaTzadik. He was the Yesod. And the union, I want to say, between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Shechina happens in Shechem. But as long as the Nachash is there, keeping the sparkle of the Mashiach ben Yosef, you cannot have a true Kutsha Berichu Shechinte, union between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Shechina. I want to go too deep on this, but it's in this Parasha, it's just to give you, to illustrate Eicha, the whole Beis Hamikdash, the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash happened because there was a separation. There are 4 letters that are like 4 columns that hold the world. Yud, K, Vav, K. Anyone who does a separation in these letters, we all what we do in this world is affecting these letters, whether it's mitzvahs or chavetz shalom not. Someone who's a meiser, he touches the vav and pushes it off the hay, the previous hay. So he is splitting like exactly Amalek. He's splitting. Kika al Yud K stays together. Nobody can touch it. Vav K, he pushes it off. You're separating the name of Hashem. You did pirud exactly where you fall, in between. So a person with his actions is affecting the dusha, put it, of the name of Hashem. And the one who Chaz v'Shalom was trying to, so the only 2 letters that could be affected really by our actions are the Vav and the He. And during the Beis Hamikdash, the Chorban Beis Hamikdash could have only happened when the Vav and the He were separated. In the Yalkut Shimoni, which I encourage everyone to read this week, after the Ma'aseh of Shechem, they were so ashamed, all the kings from around, that 2 boys that were 13 years old, they just turned bar mitzvah, were able to decimate a city like Shechem that was considered like very strong, that they were gathering against the Bnei Yaakov. And the Bnei Yaakov decimated them. each city around it, you have 6 big walls. Interestingly, you think the Bnei Yaakov were training and playing like the Greeks, forgot whether it was the Olympiads or, you know, training and big muscle. How did they fight those wars? Once these 4 letters are together, you're not yourself anymore. You're not. You can't be rationalized by the physics of this world. Oh, I'm trained. I know. Your hand will do exactly what needs to be done, and the strength will be given to your hand. You won't pull a muscle. I don't train my muscle. How can I do it? You won't have anything. Well, Yehuda was keeping all the way up to the walls around cities. Everything is done with these letters. Everything, and these letters commute on Shabbos. So we see here, Dina had the purest intention. Vayikach oisa. Vayishkav oisa. What do you repeat me? Oisa, oisa, oisa. Because oisa equals 412. 412 equals Bayis. So now we answer the Reshis Chochmah. When the Reshis Chochmah is giving us a whole pshat about a woman should only get out of her house, it would have not, the pasuk tells you, hints you, this would have not happened had she been in her house. But is she to blame on this? No, she wanted to save the nitzois of the Mashiach. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu did what she wanted. Where was it? Shechem ben Chamor. If I start going, you know, I don't want to bug you with it, but if I would start going into Shechem ben Chamor, why is he called Chamor the father? And what the gematria Shechem Chamor, Shechem ben Chamor, and so forth, you would see a light at the here, which is tremendous. As far as what we asked, now we understand the question, the answer to our first question. What hishtadlus do I have to make? You know what? Only your kavanah. Like Dina. HaKadosh Baruch Hu came to the rescue right away. If you have a pure intention, you're not having self-motivating feelings or whatever. Yes, you want to make a panasa, but you don't want to make a panasa to show off in shul. You don't want to make a panasa to show, you see that neighbor of mine, I'm going to teach him a lesson. No. You want to make a panasa in order to be able to feed your family, v'shefa, be able to find time to learn, and so forth. That's the kavanah in your hishtadlus. Hishtadlus, it's not 20, it doesn't need to be 25. What needs to be quantified is your kavanah. Dina just came out. She made the nitzoitz of the Mashiach ben Yosef. How can the Mashiach ben David come? Because of Dina. Oh, by Yehuda on the other side? No. Without the Mashiach ben Yosef, you have nothing. So who made the whole thing possible? Sacrificed herself? Dina is the mother of the Mashiach ben Yosef. That's why it says here, Vateitze Dina bas leya. Dafka she's bas leya. And Dafka asher yolda leYaakov, to teach us that Mashiach ben Yosef plus David times David, because David can only come when Mashiach ben Yosef will come. Have a great Shabbos. All the best to everyone.
Très très beau. Square.
Welcome.
Attends, on voit pas.
Jaime, when am I going to have my shurim? Jaime, turn on the microphone. He's not there. You just turn it on.